So many of us young filmmakers have decided to make the transition from DSLR cameras to the Blackmagic line of cameras. And while that's a lot of fun and there's a lot of great things that come with the Blackmagic cameras, there's also a huge learning curve. So here are the top 7 tips I have for Blackmagic pocket cinema camera users. So number 1, you want to expose to the right. And on your camera's histogram, on the left side, you have all the darks, and the right side, you have the lights. So basically, you want to get all the data in the picture moved to the right side. You want to expose it to the right, which means you want to have all the data towards the brights, because the way that the data works in the bright areas, it's heavy. There's a lot of data in the bright areas, and there's not a lot of data in the darks. So that's why you'll see a lot of artifacts in the blacks and things like that, is because there isn't as much data there. So what you have to do is you have to expose it to the right, and you have to crush those blacks in post. So number 2, you want to use ASA 800. And for a guy like me who comes from Canon cameras and shooting DSLR footage with like a T2i or a T3i, that would seem contradictory to use ISO or ASA 800. But that's what you should use with the pocket cinema cameras. So for a long time, I would shoot things and I'd want the full dynamic range. And so I tried to use a lower ISO in order to achieve that, because that's how it worked with the Canon cameras. But with the pocket cinema camera specifically, using ASA 800 is its native ISO. So it gives you the maximum dynamic range. You'll see some digital noise in the blacks, but again, you're supposed to expose to the right and crush those blacks, and that's how you get the full dynamic range. So number 3, I would consider the Metabones Speedbooster, especially if you have Canon or Nikon glass. It gives you an array of different options. So I mean, with MFT lenses, there are plenty of lenses out there that you could use, vintage lenses, all kinds of stuff. But if you already have Canon or Nikon lenses and Sony lenses, consider the Metabones. It's an awesome piece of gear for this camera, and for me, it's paid off. Number 4, only buy SanDisk Extreme Pro cards with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. And you only want to buy 32 gig and above, because I think those are the only ones that go 95 megabytes per second and above. There are some that go even higher than that, but those are the cards you want to buy. There's going to be like tempting cards for you to get, like the Transcends and things like that have the same read and write speed, or they claim to have the same read and write speed, but the only safe choice for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera is the SanDisk Extreme Pros. So those are the only ones that have worked for me, and they work great. So number 5, you're going to want to get a cage. The pocket cinema camera and your lenses, your batteries, your memory, everything like that, it's way too big of an investment to just leave it bare. A cage protects it, it allows you to easily carry it around, and it's way too affordable not to get. You can add all your different attachments on the cage, and there are cages out there that are extremely durable and very well priced. My recommendation is the small rig. That's the one I use. It's super easy to set up, and it protects it great. So that's my recommendation. Number 6, you're gonna want to get external batteries. And I tried to avoid this for a long time. I got multiple Nikon batteries, the EN, EL, I think they're EN, EL 22, and I had like 6 or 7 of those, and it's just not worth it. Once you get a cage, you can attach a battery mount on it, and you can have just like 2 or 3 of these big, I think they're Sony PF 970 batteries, and they last for hours and hours and hours. It's just so worth it. The last thing you want is to see that battery ticking down, 10%, 5%, down to 0 when you absolutely need to keep recording. That's the worst thing in the world. So battery is a great investment, and it's definitely something you'll need to get. And number 7, I would get an external monitor. Now, there's a lot of different choices out there. I don't have a recommendation right now. I'm actually in between certain monitors. I have, crazy things I use. Right now I'm using a TV because it's just easy to do, and I just popped it up real quick just so I can see what I'm doing. But when you're out on the field, it's very helpful to use a monitor, whether it be a laptop or an iPad or anything, as long as you can use something else than the screen that's on the Pocket Cinema camera. So I put this one last because it's not a dire thing. All the rest are pretty dire to do, but it's definitely helpful to get an external monitor. So those are my top 7 tips, guys. I hope it helps. And this is Brandon with LMB. Thanks.